Hello everybody, my name is Ashley and this is my channel Little Nerdette. Today I'm going to be talking about something much more serious than my videos normally are. I know that I haven't posted in a while and I'm sorry about that. Life has been hectic and busy and I've been going through some stuff, and that's kind of what I'm here to talk to you about. Today is December 18th, 2017. It's a really sad day for those of us in the K-pop world. We lost one of the most amazing people in the K-pop industry, one of the most talented musicians that we've ever seen, Kim Jonghyun. Sorry. Jonghyun was one of my ultimate biases. If you don't know what an ultimate bias is, it's basically picking someone from all of the groups that you listen to and saying, that's my person. And Jonghyun was one of my people. He has been one of my people since 2009 when I first started getting into K-pop, and he's actually one of the first people to really get me into K-pop in general. So today has been a very hard day for me personally, and I'm sure that it's been a very hard day for a lot of you, so I wanted to make this video to talk about something that I think, especially in America, we don't talk about often because it's seen as being weak and as having something wrong with you. And I want to talk about depression. So there it is, out in the open. If you are triggered by depression or thoughts of suicide, cutting, you probably shouldn't watch this video. I'm hoping that by making this video it might help some of the people that are hurting from the loss of Jonghyun as well. That being said, I'm going to be talking straightforward to you about my experiences with depression and about how I'm learning to cope with my depression. I'm not saying that it's easy, and I'm not saying that what I do will work for everyone. Everyone has a different case. Everyone struggles with things differently. But I'm hoping that by making this video, it may prevent another case like Jonghyun's. So I am going to try to speak as openly and as clearly as I possibly can about this subject. It's a very hard thing for me to talk about. For my friends who I've talked to about this before, I am very open about it, but it's still very difficult for me to talk about. Like, my heart is pounding right now. And I think that a lot of people who have met me or who know me probably don't know that I struggle with this. So I want to talk about what I've gone through. I've been struggling with depression since I was 13, 14 years old. I've always had these feelings that nobody would love me because of many different reasons. I still really struggle with thinking that I'm not worth loving, that I'm not good enough to be loved. This is so hard for me to put into words. I know logically that the people who do love me genuinely love me. They're not trying to use me. But I have been used before. And because I've been used by people before, it's very difficult for me to really truly show people who I am, even though I still would say that I'm a very open person. I try to be myself at all times, but I still have a wall that I don't let people see behind, and that's my depression. My depression is that wall that backs people up, and the voice in my head that says, don't let them get too close to you because they don't want anything but to hurt you. So, this is so difficult to put into words. I guess I'll just start from the beginning, I suppose. The first time I realized that something was wrong was in 9th grade. I had started having these thoughts that everybody that hung out with me only hung out with me because I had something to give them. That it wasn't really my company that they were wanting, they just wanted a place to hang out. Or they just needed an extra body, someone to laugh at. And I can't tell you why I was feeling that way, because with depression you don't always have a reason. But that's what I was feeling, and I was going through a very vulnerable state where I wanted to be loved. I just wanted somebody to care about me and tell me that they loved me, and I started to date people. And I put quotation marks around it because I don't count that as really dating, because it was that like, oh, you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend for like 2 weeks kind of thing. And every time that I liked someone or that I started dating them, I would either get dumped or rejected. And the reason was never my personality. It was the way I looked. Or it was, I just don't want to be with someone right now. And that was code in my mind for, you're ugly. You're not worth it. You're not good enough. I don't want you. So my 9th grade started to spiral. I lost focus on academics. I lost focus on friends. I wasn't going to school. I would stay home sick. And when I would take showers, I would cut myself with a pair of scissors. It kills me to think back on it, that I would resort to something like that, but I didn't know how to let the overabundance of feelings out. That was the only way I could at the time, was to resort to hurting myself. My parents ended up finding out close to the end of my freshman year, and they got me help, which I'm very thankful for. I went to a therapist for 5 or 6 months, and then I started to feel better. That was when I met my now fiance, and we started dating, and I felt much better because there was that person who loved me, that person that I was waiting for. And I started to feel better. I stopped cutting myself, and I started to feel better, but not fully 100% myself. A lot of things have happened in my life, like changing my major 3 times to figure out what I actually want, and then deciding after I got my degree to go back to school again. A lot of those things have hindered my feeling 100%. And honestly, with depression, I don't think you ever really will feel 100%, because depression isn't something that just goes away. You can get better, and you can learn how to cope with it, but it won't ever go away. And I think if you have depression and you're struggling with it, coming to terms with the fact that you now live with this and that you just have to find ways to cope with it is probably your first step in feeling better. At least for me, that was. I'm not going to say that I haven't relapsed. I haven't started cutting myself again. Thankfully, I've been able to stop myself before it's gotten that bad. But I have thought about it before. I'm still working on it. I go to a therapist once a week. I started going to a therapist last year. when my depression was getting really bad again and I had forgotten how to deal with it. I decided on my own that it was time to go see somebody to talk about just things that I was feeling and try to find ways to cope with them or to work things out on my own. Some ways to cope with depression that I've found are writing in a journal. Every day that you feel like it's unbearable, write in a journal. Discuss what's going on, and once you start to feel better, burn it. I've done that before. Just burn the whole thing, and then everything is gone. Talk to somebody. Find a therapist, find a friend, find a loved one, someone who won't judge you for the way that you're feeling. Another way to cope with depression is by exercising. Taking a walk outside, even in the winter. Listen to good music, something that cheers you up. There are a lot of ways to cope with depression, but the biggest one is to get help. My therapist is wonderful. I honestly don't know how I was living with the way I was feeling before I started talking to her. And I'm starting to find my own self-worth, which is something that I didn't have when I started talking to her. So if you're struggling with depression, whatever the reason, please find help, because your mental health is more important than anything, really. There's also a suicide hotline, and I will link the number to that below in the description box. If you or anybody you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call that number, get help. And that brings me back to Jonghyun. We lost Jonghyun to suicide. From what articles I've read, and I haven't read as many as I probably should have because I've been avoiding it. He took his life from carbon monoxide poisoning and had left his sister a text message that essentially said, "It's time to let me go now. This is my last goodbye." That's not verbatim, don't quote me, but that's essentially what happened. I'm so sick of losing people because they don't feel like they're good enough, because they don't feel like they're loved, because they feel like they have to be perfect all the time. I don't know why he did this, but it has affected all of us. I don't really know what else to say. To anybody else who is affected by this, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that he was hurting. I'm sorry that you're hurting. Please don't think that because he hurt himself and took his own life that it's okay for you to do it. Because there will be people who will miss you. There's always a way out. It does get better. You just have to wait. I'm sorry that this video has been so depressing today, if you will, but I feel like it's something that I've wanted to talk about for a while and didn't know how to bring it up, but I'm glad that I have. Know that I'm always here to talk. I will put my Instagram and my Snapchat and my K-pop Amino link down below. So if you want to talk to me on any of those medias, feel free. I will hopefully be back with another video soon. I am going back to school, so it's been difficult for me to film, but I'm going to try, cross my fingers, to film more, especially now that my camera isn't being weird and my computer is working again. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below and let me know what you'd like to see me film next. And I hope that you all have a really wonderful day, and I hope that this helped you in some way.